Hi everyone, welcome to Crafting with Cora. Today what I want to show you is how to add some glitter and some vinyl to an acrylic blank. So acrylic blanks come in all shapes and sizes. So for today, I decided to choose a heart. Acrylic blanks is basically a piece of plastic. You can add some vinyl and some glitter to it. There's a little film on the front and on the back that protects it from being scratched up as you're working on it. So now we're going to get started. To create your acrylic blank, you obviously need an acrylic blank. You need some Mod Podge. It could be the dishwasher safe one. Any other type of Mod Podge that you have works for this as well. I've also added the Mod Podge Dimensional Magic. So I'm going to show you two different ways to be able to seal it near the end. You're going to need some glitter. So I have my glitter in mason jars. It just makes it easy. I have a pretty big collection. Any color glitter you want. I have a foam brush to be able to apply my Mod Podge that I'm just going to put in this plastic cup here. It's okay to dunk your brush into the Mod Podge to be able to work with it, but once you're going to start applying the glitter, you're not going to want to dump back into your Mod Podge because your Mod Podge is going to get full of glitter, and the next time you work with it, there's going to be glitter kind of different colors all over your next project. I use a spoon to get my glitter out of my mason jar. And I have little tweezers here. This helps me take off the film that's on top. They're very, very tight to make sure that nothing kind of scratches the surface before it gets to you. So I use the tweezers to kind of peel it off, make it a little bit easier. So I'm going to bring you guys closer so you can see exactly what I'm doing. Okay, so now that you're closer, you can see a little bit more of what I'm doing on my table. So I always have a piece of paper underneath my blank. I'm going to peel off the little plastic. Sometimes it comes off easy, sometimes it doesn't. It's just a little plastic film. Just protects it from getting scratched on the front. So now there's two different ways that you can do acrylic blank. I mentioned it earlier. There's two ways of sealing and there's also two ways of applying the vinyl. So for my vinyl today, so I chose the heart for my shape and I chose a pineapple. So I love pineapples. I want to put the pineapple on my heart and I want to add some glitter to it. Probably going to use it as a keychain. So what you can do is if you don't want to feel the vinyl at all so that it doesn't peel and it's a lot more secure, you would add your little pineapple or whatever design you choose on your blank before you even start glittering. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. If you've already started glittering and you just completely forgot about adding your vinyl, it's not a big deal. You can always add it to the top, but you would be adding it to the other side. You're always going to have a smooth surface and a surface that's a little bit more rough. So I'm going to go ahead and apply. So I pre-cut my pineapple. You can cut these as you go. You can pre-cut everything and measure everything. And I use some Cricut transfer paper to help me transfer it from my piece of paper onto my blank. I don't need these anymore. So now my blank has my little pineapple on it. You still see the brown at the back. That's the other protective paper that's on the other side. Sometimes it's going to be white, sometimes it's going to be clear on both sides, but just remember to peel off the piece of paper. I've done a few of them where I didn't peel off the piece of paper. So now that I've put my pineapple on here, this is actually the back side of the ornament. So if you're writing a name, you want to make sure that you're reversing the image as you're cutting it because you're really going to be looking at it from this side. This side over here is going to be covered in glitter. So now to start, I'm going to grab some of my Mod Podge I put in my cup and I'm just going to dab it on. I use a foam brush. I just find it really easy to get a thin, even layer on my blank. I also use the same brushes to do my wine glasses. And anywhere else I apply vinyl, I just find it gets a very thin, even coat on your ornament. You can brush it on. I like to dab it on. I find it leaves a lot less streaks because you got to remember you're going to see it on the other side. Don't put too much because the glitter is going to clump. It's okay if the first layer of glitter is thin. You can always add a second layer. Okay, so I use this piece of paper because as you can see, move it on to the other paper, I kind of got some glue all over the paper. You want to make sure you're not using the same piece of paper for your glitter because you're just going to waste your glitter and it's going to get stuck to your paper for nothing. So as I glitter, I always use a second piece of paper This allows me to dump whatever glitter I'm not using back into my pot, and it makes my tub of glitter last a whole lot longer. So now that I have glue all over my surface, I'm going to grab my spoon and take some glitter and just sprinkle it everywhere. It doesn't matter how much or how little you put. Whatever is going to stick to the glue is what's going to stick to the glue. Just because you put more doesn't mean your layer is going to be thicker. So now when you're lifting it, I always use either my tweezers or lift the paper a little bit to get it, because you got to remember the surface is still wet. So you don't want to stick your fingers in here, because then you're going to lose the effect. You're going to kind of push in your glue and your glitter. So you really want to make sure you're holding it on its side. So basically that's the first layer. Now I chose a darker color, so I may not need a second layer. Once it's dry, I'll decide whether or not I want to add a second layer. So I'm going to take this and let it dry and put it back on my piece of paper that I had with the glue. And as you can see, there's a whole lot of glitter left on here. Well, I don't want to waste that every time I'm making an ornament, so I can dump it back in my pot. This is where I find the mason jars are very useful. It's very easy to put it back in the jar, and it's easy to kind of scoop it out and use it. So there's not a little hole you're trying to get it back in, just to save a little bit on glitter. So now I'm going to take a dry ornament. So now my ornament's all dry. It's all ready to go. You can kind of see, as I'm holding it up to the light, that there might be a few little spots that need an extra layer. So this is where when you stick your brush into your Mod Podge, you don't want to put it again, because now as I'm dabbing, some of the glitter is going to be coming off. So I generally add 2 coats just to be safe. Make sure that once you're done gluing it, you switch your piece of paper out. Again, you don't want to waste any glitter. You sprinkle your glitter on. Make sure you knock all the excess glitter off. You don't want any extra dangling on there for nothing. Put the rest of the glitter away. Then from here, you would let it dry again. I normally let it dry overnight between coats, just to make sure that the Mod Podge is really dry before you do anything else to it. So now there's 2 different ways that you can seal it. You can seal it using just your regular Mod Podge. What that does is when you're sealing it, it's going to feel a little bit rough at the back. It's not actually going to come off, but it will feel a little bit rough. The other way to do it is using the Mod Podge Dimensional Magic. So this will actually leave like a little bulb or a little bump at the back of your ornament or your keychain, and you won't actually feel anything. So you can go ahead and use this stuff. This is kind of the preferred method from what I've seen in craft groups. So you just take it and you can brush it on, or you can just use it. You just squeeze it. If you haven't used it in a while, you might have to squeeze it in a little bit. So you just squeeze it out, follow your edge, make sure it doesn't spill over. And then I use the tip, it's very pointy, to just kind of direct it a little bit onto my ornament so that nothing falls off of my ornament. So do that the whole way. And you want to make sure that you wait till it's dry. If you don't, when you move it, you're going to start scratching on the other side. And then the other way is just taking your foam brush again, dunking it into your Mod Podge, and just applying an evenly thin layer. Whatever way you want to do is up to you. Either way works. So you want to make sure you're always gluing on that extra piece of paper so you're not wasting any glitter. So now my ornament is dry. I'm going to flip it over and take off the other protective layer. So I got all of my acrylic blanks from designblanks.ca. Deb has tons of them on there. Make sure to check it out. So this is what it would look like when it's completely finished. So as you can see, the pineapple is completely on the other side. See, there's some white spots on there. I didn't quite let it dry before I did the second coat, so some of the glitter kind of came off. There's always a hole in the corner here that you would put your keychain on or your little hook on for your Christmas ornament. That's it for crafting with Cora. Thanks for checking out our video. Happy crafting.